What's up guys? My name is Leah and this is Nick, and today we're going to teach you how to do your very own workout, work up a sweat whilst cleaning your floor. Like you know, the whole of South Africa is on lockdown, along with some countries of the world, and this puts us into very weird positions where we're needing to learn how to do things for ourselves. So we're going to give you a fun and creative way where you can get the family involved and clean your own floors with whatever you have handy in your home. Right, so Nick, as promised,
hey guys.
Nick the bio, and I am Leah, a personal trainer at IMF, Nick being a bio at SA Biokinetics. So at this point I'm going to hand over to Nick, where he's going to talk us through some basics of warm-up and just how we should move in everyday life.
Alright guys, so what we're going to start off with today on day 2 of your lockdown, we are going to start off by a simple warm-up which requires us to take our broomstick and make a nice rotation around our body. We call this the broomstick stretch. We're going to make sure you're keeping your arms nice and straight, and you're going to go as far as you can. Leah's going very far today. If you can only get to here, then that's where you go to. You don't have to go all the way around, but hold the stick as wide as you can. Then, from this movement, we're going to move on to a different warm-up where we're actually going to ask you guys to sweep your own floors. So you're going to take your stick, you're going to put it onto the floor, and you're going to sweep the floor. So make time for that. I'd say a couple of minutes of sweeping, getting nice and low, making sure your core is engaged the entire time. You get yourself into a good position, and nice and low, core engaged, sweeping your floor. Do not bend your back. Keep your back nice and straight, and that's going to give you a nice warm-up routine and prepare you for the cloth challenge, which is what we're going to be leading into now. So I want you guys to get a nice cloth, microfiber cloth, and you're going to be cleaning your floors, guys. So you can make sure that these cloths are either wet or the floor is already wet. And you're going to start off with a 4-way shuffle walk. So if you look at Leah over here, she's going to be walking sideways. First of all, getting the cloths underneath her feet and walk sideways. Getting into a nice little slight squat position. Core is nice and engaged. She is going side to side. After going side to side, she is going to shuffle forward, and then she is going to shuffle backwards as well. So you're going to be going side to side for 40 seconds and backwards and forwards for 40 seconds. The workout requires you to go for 40 seconds at a time with 20 seconds rest in between each set. So you're going to move for 40 seconds and then rest for 20 seconds. Now we move on to the next exercise.
I think it's just important to let people know where this exercise should be working, you know, so we're targeting the lower half of the body, we're working the glutes. So like Nick said, we want to start out in a squat position, making sure that we really have tension on our glutes, and then using that tension to move side to side and back to front, focusing on not allowing the knees to drop in. So you want to keep your knees aligned with your middle toes, and really just be conscious of your form. Like Nick said, make sure that your core is engaged at all times.
If you want to make this exercise harder, all you need to do is get a band and tie it around your shins, and make sure that both your legs are surrounded with that band, and it will give you a little bit of extra resistance. Moving on to the next exercise, we're going to go with a single-legged squat, guys. So what we're going to be doing is standing on a single leg. We're then going to be moving the opposite leg forward as we move into a squat, sideways as we move into a squat, backwards as we move into a squat, and we repeat, forwards, sideways, and backwards. We're going to do this for 40 seconds on this leg, have a rest, and then move on 40 seconds on the other leg. We're then going to be going on to mountain climbers, guys. So for our mountain climbers,
you're going to need 4 cloths for this one.
We're going to get onto the floor. I'm just going to ask Leah to move more this way. There we go. Perfect. So keeping the core nice and engaged, hips above the shoulders, shoulder blades squeezed. She is going to be bringing one knee in towards the elbow and alternating, keeping them nice and controlled. Lower back is not dropping. The core is fully engaged. She's then, from this position, going to move on to the bear crawls.
I'm gonna, as you can see, this does work up a sweat, so this is where I'm gonna be handing over to Nick, and he's gonna show you the upper body half of this workout. First off, bear crawls. So guys, when we got into our plank, we wanted to make sure that our shoulders were stacked nice and neatly over the wrists. This is a really strong position to be in. Likewise, when you're getting into your bear crawl, make sure that your shoulders stacked over the wrists and hips stacked right over the knees. Your back should be straight, no dropping or arching, nice strong core. From this position, you're going to make small movements with opposite hand and opposite knee, forwards and backwards. From this position, you can always go side to side as well, but it is a little bit more of a tricky progression. What you're looking for over here is minimal movement at the hips. As soon as your hips start swaying side to side, you know that your core isn't engaged anymore. From there, I'm going to ask Nick to get into a plank position. Now, in a plank position, if you can't get into the full variation of the plank, you can simply start off with a knee plank, which looks very similar to a bear crawl position. And from here, the first variation we're going to have you do is pass the cloth side to side. And opposite side and opposite side. You can do this with one cloth as well, passing in between hands, or two. Great, just like Nick's showing us. Again here, make sure that your core is engaged and there's minimal sway at the torso level. This time I'm going to ask Nick to get into the full plank progression for me, which means feet out. As soon as you get your feet out, there's more moving parts to play around. So you really need to make sure that you have that core engagement solid. Okay, we're going to do an exercise that is called a rotation. It's commonly used in rehab exercises that Nick can elaborate about. But what's important here is to make sure that the scapula are pinched together, tucked into the opposite back pocket, and you are rotating the hand by starting this movement at the shoulder level. You can swap your rotation from internal to external and then move over to the opposite hand. Like Nick said, with each one of these exercises, you're performing the movement for 40 seconds, resting and swapping between movements for 20 seconds.
Yep.
Great, guys. It should be nice and shiny by now. The last one we're going to give you is the surrender plank. Or, surrender press, sorry. As you can see, you want to have done a good job at cleaning your floor up until this point because you'll be lying straight onto your back. I want you to get the cloths underneath your elbows. And like I said earlier, with pinched scaps, what that means is pinching a pencil in between your shoulder blades. You want to guide your arms up above your head, along the cloth, kind of like a snow angel. But as you know, we're in South Africa and we're in lockdown, so there'll be none of that.
Just make sure you're pushing your elbows and your hands into the floor the entire time. That really gets the upper back working super hard.
Cool, guys, so that is our cloth challenge. Our challenge to you is to get the family involved, get moving, get your floors clean, and if you have any questions, please, you know where to find us. And also share your workouts, have a little fun with it, and make sure to tag us at